It took me some time to get on. Let me move this over. Got Facebook and Instagram going. Sorry, I am late, guys. We had some major technical difficulties going on over here. And we're back up, or should I say, we're up. I'm Dr. Torri J, and tonight we're going to discuss a topic that we started last week. Let me say this. I know this week I really wanted to have a therapist in place for this conversation. I did not want to continue it without giving you some healing tools from that therapeutic perspective and that expertise. So, as I said in my post that I put up earlier, I am not going to pretend like I am a therapist or any of that. Um, hey, Patricia, how are you? Um, hey, Kiera. I am not going to pretend like I'm any of that, right? I'm going to have the conversation. I'm going to talk about this from a lane that I'm familiar with, which is, you guys know, I am a minister as well as the other hats that I wear. So I'm going to talk about it from a biblical perspective. And prayerfully, Dr. Diane will be able to get on next week. That's my prayer. And if not, I will find someone else to step into her role. She had a family emergency. Please keep her family and her lifted up in prayer. There is some real stuff going on in many lives right now, and hers happens to be one of them that's having that experience right now. And once again, I apologize for being late, but like I said, I had some major technical difficulties about it. Last week, I want to jump right into this. As my husband is going to put on there, share, share, come on in here, as they say, and share. Hey, Charles. Hey, Becca. Come in and share. And I want to, anybody who's watching this in replay, please do me a favor and look at Nydia. I see her meme on here. Anyone who, thank you, Nydia. I see you. Anybody who's jumping on and you're watching it in replay, let me know by typing replay in the box. I am doing well, Patricia. What about you? You're jumping on as we're talking about fatherlessness and sexual abuse. And what does the Bible say is what I'm going to tackle today. Let me kind of go through some housekeeping because I don't always go through the housekeeping. But this conversation is super private. This conversation is not only private, but it's sensitive. And I need for us to have empathy. I need for us to listen to other people as they may chime in and make sure we give them respect and we're not disrespectful as they are sharing or typing in their conversations and journeys concerning sexual abuse. I want to also say I'm not here as a therapist, but I am here as a coach. I'm here as a minister tonight. I want to tackle this from a biblical perspective because I think we tend to act like the Bible doesn't cover pretty much everything under the sun because we've over spiritualized it. We've allowed somebody to interpret it and present it to us in a way that makes it seem so far off. And I always want to make the Bible come alive to you in your life and how you are dealing with life so that you can navigate it in a different way. That's my hope. Um, what other housekeeping do I have? Oh, go to my podcast. There's a really good conversation that I recorded today called The Soul of the Fatherless Man. And it delves into why men maybe don't want to have relationships or don't want to be responsible in that way. I'm not going to give it away, but I think you should listen to it. I think it also is healing. It's a great way to help people connect the dots to their pain that maybe they just don't recognize. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help connect dots to pain that we don't always discuss. Last week, we got into some serious things. Know that I sent that information, Becca, from your story, Nydia, and a few others. Also, Trey, if you jump on here, or if you're watching now and I see you later, or whatever that is, I have something for you that's going to help you that I want to make sure. Hey, Cherie, how are you? I want to make sure that you get this information because Trey was on last week and he really wanted to know how to help his fiance, especially before getting married, with this issue of sexual assault. So let's jump into this. The Bible does some things that I don't think we recognize. There are 3 accounts that I want to talk about in the Old Testament concerning rape specifically. We call it sexual assault now. That term is so loose, I don't know what to do with it. Because that could mean somebody breathed on your neck wrong. That means somebody maybe touched you in a club. What I'm talking about is rape. That's what I'm talking about. I don't want to get I don't want to cause any confusion about the topic at hand. I'm talking about rape and how fatherless children are impacted by this. We recognized last week, as I told my stories of molestation and sexual abuse, there were individuals on here who were sharing theirs as well. And they were expressing the challenges that they went through of a parent believing them and what that looks like and how they were able to navigate that. And there's a lot of unforgiveness and brokenness that we discovered along the way. One of the things that I left you with last week is please spend time walking through a place of forgiveness for the parent. That's what we want, because forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person. If we get to a place where we don't live if we live with unforgiveness in our hearts, it's really traumatizing to us. I know some of you may have journeyed through some of that trauma after I shared my story and after you typed in to the comments some of your aspects or some of the aspects of your journey and your story. I want to continue to peel this little by little, as Catherine called it. I opened up a can and I'm like, yes, but slowly, because once the can is open, I need the therapist in place. I don't want to blow up the spot, as I call it, like being the oldie Yala Van Zan. She'd blow up the spot and she'd have no therapist in place to help heal the people, right? They'd just be stuck and they wouldn't know what to do. And there was no real aftercare. Now there's aftercare. And I want to provide you care on the live as well as aftercare. Hey, Aaron, that's what I want to do. So know that I am slowly peeling this thing open. I'm not peeling it open really fast. I'm not going to rip the wound off. And that's why we shared my story last week. This week, we're going to talk about it from a biblical perspective, because I need you to see other accounts where God actually steps in. And I believe he's stepping into your situation as well. And then next week, we're going to have some tools. We're going to have some people who can come on and help you. And maybe I can get three screens going, mine and two other people. Let's see how we can work that out. And then also where you can get the help with them afterwards. Hopefully they can do group sessions with you and things of that nature that can help get you where you need to be. That's not so public. Okay, so let's jump into this. There are 3 accounts that I'm going to go through in the Bible, and I'm going to go through them pretty quickly. But I need you to know something that's super important. Know that the Bible is not silent about rape. It's not silent about sexual assault in any way. The Bible is very clear on how it deals with sexual assault as well, because sexual assault from a biblical perspective is not swept under the rug, nor is it a hush-hush situation. That's one of the areas that I think the church has really laxed on its responsibility. It has hidden a lot of the sexual assault that has happened within the church. And I know for a fact that we can go to the Catholic Church and how they hid it for decades and maybe centuries, we don't know. But individuals have come forth and now they've paid these people off, but there's still this pain there. And there's a pain there that shouldn't be there, because when we're looking at rape, sexual assault from a biblical perspective, we have to recognize another fact. In each account that I'm going to go through, and the 3 that are in the Old Testament that are very prominent, that we've probably all heard on some level at some point in time during our church journey, and each one of them, civil war ensued. Each one. So let's look at this. In Genesis 34, we have the account when Jacob's daughter Dinah was violated by the son of a neighboring ruler, Shechem. And as it turns out, her brothers found out. Of course, her father found out too. Her brothers found out and murdered him, his father, and all the men of the city in revenge. Everybody was killed. There was no delay, right? It was like, as soon as she said it happened, there was vindication. And they took out everybody. So for some of us, and I'm gonna probably say this again, because there was no vindication, healing wasn't able to take place. There's something about vindication as I was studying this today, because trust me when I say in my prayer time, 4:30 this morning, I heard in my spirit, y'all know me, you're going to have to tackle this from a biblical perspective. So when I got the call from Dr. Diane, I was like, that's why I heard that in my prayer time. So I've gone through this today. I was preparing for it next week, but I had to go through some of this. And I was like, is vindication part of healing? Maybe, right? So let's look at this. They took out the whole city. I'm not going to go read the whole thing because it's a whole chapter. I then want to go to Judges chapters 19 and 21. Now, if you guys listen to this later and you want to get your Bible, go Google it, whatever that is, do that, because I think that some of this is going to give you an understanding of how this should happen. And I know, because we had the conversation last week, well, how did their family believe them, but my family didn't? We're going to get to that. Yeah, it's very real. So I see Brandon on here. Brandon said, he said, preach, sister. Cherie said, my God. Yeah, exactly. Forgiveness is the key. You have to forgive. These people don't know. Sometimes our parents don't know any better. We discussed that too last week. Get beneath the crust. Let's see. No remorse. That's what I want to point out. Some people don't have any remorse. And so if there's no vindication, there's no feeling of that there was justice served, right? It's actually Judges chapters 19 through 21. So it's 3 or 2 chapters. Well, 19, 20, and just 3 chapters actually. Thank you for being my moderator there. So in Judges chapters 19 and 20 through 21, we have it calls her an unnamed concubine. And I know you guys are not prepared for this, but did you know she was gang raped? Like gang raped. And left for dead by the men in the tribe of Benjamin. These are supposed to be men of God. And they gang raped her and left her for dead. So what then happens is the other tribes went to war against them upon hearing about this thing that happened to this violation that happened to her. And a lot of men died. Once again, vindication. When vindication happens, what then do we do? Like, it's vindication. And so I'm looking at this going, is vindication a part of our healing process? I think it is. One that I recognized more than the other 2 accounts as I was reading and looking up these different stories, and I won't call them stories, I call them accounts in the Bible. Remember the story of Tamar? She was raped by her half-brother Ammon. And then her brother Absalom, who happens to be King David's son, Absalom killed Amnon. And then he incited a rebellion against his father because King David didn't handle it right. Okay, here we got somebody. This is 2 Samuel 13. So we have a situation where King David doesn't handle this well. And in some ways, King David wanted to sweep it under the rug because this is his son. And he's trying to protect his son. How many of us had the conversation last week where it was an uncle or it was a friend of the family or it was whatever it was, and so no one wanted to really out this person. And so the parent handled it wrong. Well, Absalom took it into his own hands and made sure Amnon would never breathe again. And he killed him. I look at it again. Rape was never covered up in the Bible, nor was it ignored. Instead, the answer to sexual assault from a biblical perspective is avenge. It was death. And they avenged the person. Vengeance belongs to God in many ways, but God was using these men and women, or these men, to avenge these women. Now let's go here. I don't want to make it like everyone lies. That's not what I'm saying. But those who do lie, those who are not sharing the truth, we find ourselves in situations where when we tell the truth, no one believes us. When we tell the truth, no one is sharing that. I don't know who this person, let me see this translation here. Can you see it, Vard?
I was looking up, I think it's a song.
Okay. I just want to be sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I was just like, God, okay, so you avenge. So here we get to look at Deuteronomy 22 and 25. That's what that says? Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll block if we feel like it's wrong. I'm going to let it roll for a minute. But I know how much it took for us to get on here, so I'm not stupid. So in Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 25, will you hand me your Bible right there?
Yeah.
Because I do need to look this up. God has legislation concerning being violated, y'all. God has a law in place in Deuteronomy, which is the book of the law. Okay, so Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 25. So, verse 25, let's see, I'm going to read the Amplified. But if a man finds the betrothed maiden in open country, and the man seizes her, forces himself upon her, and lies with her, then only the man who lay with her shall die. So when you rape someone, God says you will die. Death belongs to you. And that's jail now. That's something that we. Okay, Nydia says the translation is I challenge you. We're going to have some issues. I don't know what you mean. Y'all just pray, okay? Nydia said translation is I challenge you. I'm going to stay focused, but if it keeps coming, let me know. So this legislation that God puts forth is he's telling you that death and what took place in Genesis, Judges, and 2 Samuel is really his law. It's his will that a person who forces a woman into sexual, you know, who rapes a woman is going to die. So let me have this conversation with you quickly as well. Many people say that the Bible is oppressive towards women. And I then use the term that my kids say, then why come in each of these scenarios that we're reading in the Bible are the victims protected and the violators are punished and persecuted? I never saw the Bible that way, and I know some people do. But if that's the case, then why is God placing law, legislation in a position where he's like, if you violate a woman, and that whole chapter goes through different accounts of sexual perversion and improprieties and all of that. But that particular verse, if a man forces you, then death is, they stone him. He is stoned, right? And I think in some places that's still a thing. That's still a truth. So let's go here really quickly. I got some statistics here for you that I pulled up today. There were 32 campuses, college campuses, where 6,100 undergraduate men and women. Let's be clear, this is just not a female thing, okay? But I'm a female, and the accounts were women as well, and we have a lot of women who are watching this particular one. So just don't think that we don't think men have these challenges. They do. It said 1 in 4 women surveyed that they were a victim of rape or attempted rape. 84% of those raped knew their attacker. How many of you knew your attacker? Put a 1 in the box if you knew your attacker. Put a 2 in the box if it was a stranger. 38% of the women who were raped were 14 to 17 years old at the time of their assaults. That's super young. And we're calling it rape, but molestation is a part of this conversation. Okay? They were 14 to 17 years old at the time of their assaults. 41% of the raped women said they expected to be raped again. That means that you feel unprotected. That means that you don't feel, hey, I see Smash Jet on here. She put a 1 in the box over here too. Thank you for tuning in. You know, it's this crazy place, and everybody that are commenting, they're putting the 1 in the box. We all knew our molester or our rapist. So as we're dealing with these issues, the statistics even show that men, when they are violated, they're typically violated by other men, even in a college scenario, which makes them feel real funny about themselves and their sexuality and causes them to question some things. I was going to say something, but I had to filter myself. Something else that I want to bring up. There is this issue within our society that makes a woman feel real weird when she knows her assailant. It makes women feel real uneasy about the fact that she knows her assailant. There's this question that arises here, and I wanna pull it up. I want to find this. It's this idea that there's so much consensual sex going on. Maybe young men or young women who are rapists themselves, maybe, just maybe, they asked for it, or the other person didn't recognize the signals. I need you guys to understand something, that 85% of fatherless individual, or no, I'm sorry, 85% of rapists, let me say this the right way, are fatherless. 85% of those who have been prosecuted, convicted of rape are fatherless. You think that's a coincidence? It's not a coincidence. It's not even close to being a coincidence. And that's why it's easy for you to know these people. There's this question in society that date raping and this acquaintance, they're like enigmas, because society can understand more when you are raped by someone who's a stranger than they can when you know the person. It's almost like they think you asked for it. It's almost like they think, well, if she knew him or he knew her or him, how could that possibly happen? Did they ignore the signs, or what took place? Or maybe they really did want it, whatever that is. And that's what makes you feel uncomfortable and uneasy coming out. They said 80% of women or individuals, I'll say, who were sexually assaulted never tell, which is contrary to what we learned in the Bible. And I want to keep going back there because some of you still haven't told. Some of you still are holding this, and I said it last week, somebody still got it right here. And I had a conversation with several women offline after last week who shared how they had gone through this not only on a college campus, but they had dealt with it with a youth pastor. This stuff is happening in churches, and churches are avoiding the responsibility. They're absolving themselves of the responsibility to actually teach proper etiquette or proper ways of, because ain't nobody in the church who ain't married ain't having sex, so we can't have that conversation. I guess that's what it is. And so you suppress people for so long in that category, you don't want to talk about it, but you are responsible for having the conversation with your congregation. It is apparent that the world has impacted the church way more than the church has impacted the world. Right? Did I say that right? The world has impacted the church more than the church has impacted the world. Yeah, I gotta make sure I say that right. So I want to stress the fact that although the church has hidden this, although the church has not taken your side and they didn't do anything about it, I need you to understand today that that's not God's will. God's will is vengeance. God's will is the accounts that we read in Genesis 34 and Judges 19 through 21 and 2 Samuel 13. God said, like, I'm very clear today after reading this, that vindication is a part of your healing process. So you keeping silent about this thing is not helping you. I want to point out some of the questions here. Cherie said, what is the Deuteronomy scripture? She read, Vark, I see you answered that. Got you. Feel uneasy about being around men of a certain age because you're not sure if they want you around or want to be around to hurt you. See, come on. That's that statistic that says, where was it? What was the number? 41% of women said that they expected to be raped again. Again. Like, that's crazy. That's a travesty that women are walking around feeling unprotected. And not because they're over sexual, because the women who are typically being raped are not the ones who have body parts and stuff out. Like, I know that happens, but the conversations that I'm having with women, they're not over sexualized, and they weren't even at the time. I walk the beach. I've started walking back every day now, and because they've opened up some things. And today we're walking on the beach, and we see two young ladies, mid-20s, maybe early to mid-20s. There are 4 children with them. So you would make the assumption that the children belong to both of them or one of them or whatever the equation is. My walking buddy is doing this. And I'm like, what's wrong? I thought she was looking at some guy walking on the beach. She has a way of checking out the men walking on the beach. So I thought she was giving the big eye to some dude. She said that girl's nipple is hanging out of her dress. And I was like, what? Because I missed it. I'm like sunglasses on, focused on what I'm doing, working on all of this up here, trying to get it taken care of, get some sweat on. And she was like, her nipple was out. And even maybe 3-4 minutes later, she was still looking back. She wanted to go and say something to the young lady. But this is what happened. We question all of that because is she going to receive it? Or is she going to go off? Is she going to allow you to tell her? Because it was a really cute dress. It was skin tight, but in the front it had strips. And somehow her nipple was peeking out underneath here. And I'm thinking, we're on the beach. You felt that, girlfriend. Like you felt the wind blow. Did she want it like that? We don't know. See, we can make a lot of assumptions because sometimes young ladies are over sexualized. And we don't know if they want someone to say, hey, girl. Because, see, I would want you to be like, girl, your outfit cute. Or I want you to be like, girl, your boobies showing, right? I welcome the conversation. But we weren't sure. And I was willing to go back with her if she, because I didn't see it. I was willing to go back with her if she wanted to go check her. But there was this pause. There was this pause as to whether or not you should say anything. And that is the crazy part, because there are times when we're in situations as women and maybe our friends see something that we can't see. And this is a teaching moment. And so they see things that we can't see, and guess what? Do they say something, or do they let you go about your business? Or are you in a position where you're like, don't tell me what to do? What is the situation? Because I know individuals who've gotten themselves in positions that are not good. But I can say we saw them coming a mile away because of how they were presenting. And not to say that you can't wear what you want to wear and still say no. That's not what I'm saying. But how do we tap a young woman on the shoulder as her elder? Because, child, that's where I'm at. Even Joy said, I'm her elder, so I should be able to say something, but I don't know if I can. But as her elder, do we say something? How do we say it? How do we approach it? Maybe you guys can give me some insight. So next time we have a situation like that on the beach, we can handle it. But I want to know, how do we take care of that? How do we say it in love? How do we say it as a woman of God to another young lady? And we're not trying to tell her to cover up, because I'm going to tell you something. I have been in situations where people will say, oh, your dress is too short. I like showing my legs. So you're not going to cover up my legs over some religious stuff. You're not going to make it like I'm being sexual because I have on a skirt that's just above my knee. See, we can take this thing too far. We can take it too far. Larga's over there breathing. What you want to say, Ben?
Two things.
Yeah, I know, because I hear you breathing. Y'all know he ain't coming on camera, but you're going to hear him.
You need to say something about them not taking vengeance into their own hands.
I got you. Yeah, I got you.
And two, if she got 1, 2, 3, or 4 kids, I think she knew her nipple was out and she's looking for number 5.
I can't with you. Filter. Okay. There were 2 women. I can't assume. See, this is my husband, y'all. Y'all know him by now. I can't assume that all 4 children were hers. I can't assume that. And yes, Vark is right. I have this in my notes, but I hadn't gotten there yet. Do not take vengeance into your own hands, because I'm not going to be responsible for that. Do not take vengeance into your own hands. See, Nydia said, Vark, no.
Yes, you know it's right.
No.
Don't you start.
She said no. Because you can't make that assumption. Can we assume that 2 might have been hers, or 1, or whatever, or maybe 4? I don't know. Nydia, I won't lie that I thought when she said her nipples, I thought what he said, but you don't. Varg doesn't just think it; he says it. This is why he ain't on camera, y'all. We love him. Look, Smash Jet, I love him, but this is why he's not on camera.
It's my hair. I'm not on camera because of my hair.
And he's vain. He won't get on camera because of his hair. All he has to do is wet it and put some gel on it, y'all. He got some other kind of hair. But Nydia, I want to go here. Nydia said, wow, I never thought about that. The world has impacted the church more than the church has impacted the world. They have. They've let so much in where they haven't protected people and taught them the true things of God. It has gotten off to a start where they're all about some of their own stuff, right? They all smashed it, put hearts. I feel you. And I will tell you, my friend over here, she works with girls who have been sex trafficked. She gets them out. She literally goes in and pulls them out. So she knows this conversation. She knows this conversation.
Maybe she can give some signs too that will help.
Maybe we'll have Smash Jet come on. Maybe we'll have her come on.
As a hotel, I know I can see the signs.
Oh, that's another good one. So let's go here. We're going to talk about sex trafficking for a brief moment because we got to go till 10:30 because I didn't get on here till 9:30. Varric works in a resort and he has for years. Right before, at the end of the year, right? They came in, or was it the beginning of this year?
Beginning of this year.
Beginning of this year, my husband had some detectives come in and say, "Hey, we want to set up a sting operation in here. We need a room or two, and we're gonna arrest some guys. We're gonna basically catfish them. Is that catfishing? What is that? I don't know what that's called. And you get them to the hotel and you arrest them. And so they had that happen. And you see, she said, "You know, I would know. Yep, we're gonna get Smash Jet. Come on, we're gonna have a conversation." But I'm gonna tell you, they did arrest some people. They arrested some people because
they're rescued some girls.
And rescued some girls that day. And they only did it for what? One day.
No, they did it for a few days. But
they did it for a few days.
They were quite busy.
Really?
They were quite busy.
See, I didn't know all of that. I just knew he told me they had come to him. So they were quite busy. They rescued some guys, or they arrested some guys and rescued some girls that day in his hotel. But they came to him and was like, "This is what we need to do. Will you allow us to do it?" And of course he said yes, which I'm very happy to be. See, see, Smash Jet said yes. He down here rescuing girls and sex trafficking. See, he is good after all, Nydia. And Aaron said that's a word overall. Okay, Aaron, what was the word? I missed it. I'm sorry. I get to talking and I missed some stuff. I want to tackle this vengeance thing though. If vindication is healing, then we need to discover and find out why our parents didn't vindicate it for us. Very much so like King David wasn't able to. You got to know that. Because I can tell you that some of the individuals that I know from my private investigator who have been put in sex trafficking, it's happened from their parents. And it's an odd situation to be in, that your parents need money, they need help, they need whatever. And so you then become the money maker because they've now put you into this position to be sexually abused. But I don't want you to take vengeance into your own hands, but I want you I want some of you to go back to your parents and ask them, why didn't you believe me? Why didn't we get, oh yeah, Aaron said vengeance isn't ours. It's not. It belongs to God. And these men took it upon themselves, partially because that was the law and the understanding that they do. And I need you to recognize, once again, I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it again, I'm going to say it again. The Bible cares enough about you and your molestation and your sexual abuse, especially as a fatherless child. But on top of all of that, God cares enough to even put legislation in place in Deuteronomy 22 and 25 to let you know how this should play out for you. And this is truly a part of your healing, but there's some other aspects that we need to talk about concerning your healing. So we're about to go here. I got a question for you. For all of us, there's a grieving process in whether someone dies in our family, whether we have a lost career or lost job, whatever that situation is that caused you trauma, there should be grief that follows. Did you grieve your violation is my first question. Did you grieve your violation? If you grieved your violation, put a 1 in the box. If you didn't grieve your violation, put a 2 in the box. My friend over here, she said COVID-19 has slowed sex trafficking and rescues. Okay. Or she said, or rescues. I want to know what that means. It's slowed it down, but has it slowed the business down? And I'm sure it's kept you from being able to rescue as many because you couldn't go out. Okay, I got a 1 here from Nydia. You didn't, did I say 1 you didn't grieve and 2 you did? Has not, yeah. Oh, it has not slowed. COVID-19 has not slowed sex trafficking or, see, this is ridiculous. Y'all got to get in my gallon of water, and I got to have 7 of these to make that happen. I'm almost there. So I will be drinking water while I'm on here. So 1, oh, you did, you grieved it. Okay, sorry. I got sidetracked by this whole fact that sex trafficking hasn't slowed down because of COVID-19. Jesus. Like, I don't understand the mentality. I don't. I can't. That's a different conversation, a different day. Because I know that 83% of those who were in sex trafficking are fatherless. So maybe that's the one we do at the end after we get Dr. Diane on here. So Nydia grieved, Becca grieved.
Becca said, nah.
No, she said no. Here, Becca said, "No, I'm not interested in asking her. I'm almost to the point of seeing her has a very as a very mentally ill and damaged person. Her childhood was hell. She raised me the way she was raised." Becca, your situation is totally different than some of the ones that I may be referring to that need to go back and ask. Those who can go back and ask are typically in relationship with that parent. I don't want you to go back into a toxic situation to ask this question. It will only be more toxic. But I'm talking about those who have relationships, who are still talking to their parents and saying it in love. Um, Becca says here, I'm close to letting go of the bitterness. I don't need to speak to her. Nope. And I get that. Becca's situation is really different. Vark is nodding his head too. It's very different. Um, oh, see, I got some stuff going on. And even Smash Jet says over here, she says, the difference is I don't have police enforcement. That's tough. And a lot of us didn't have police enforcement in places that we needed them for our situation here. But Becca, once again, I don't know if I want yours to be that one where you go back. I think you're the kind of person who lets go and writes it out, and you never have to discuss it with her because the toxicity in your relationship and in your mother is just it's just too much. That number one is probably going to trigger that and many other things that you're dealing with. I want to let me ask this other question. So when you grieve this process, when you go through the process of grief, it feels like a roller coaster ride for those who didn't put anything in the box, those who didn't say anything. Um, it's going to feel like a roller coaster ride. You're going to have this roller coaster ride of shame, this roller coaster. And I'm going to say shock because number one, you feel numb, you're unsure. Number two, you're going to feel embarrassment, disbelief. Did that really happen to me? And why me? And what embarrassment? What will people think? Like, this is a part of the process that you got to go through. This is a part of the healing process. Grief is necessary, and you can't stop in one spot. You've got to go through the entire journey. So I'm going to put emotional shock as number one, disbelief is number two, embarrassment is number three, shame is number four, guilt is number five, depression is number six, powerlessness is number seven, disorientation is number eight, retriggering is number nine, and denial is number 10. These are some of the stages of grief that you're going to have to deal with. And I would even suggest to you to look at grief counseling, look at grief therapy, so that maybe, just maybe, you can get the help that you need because there are people who can walk you through those stages that are necessary for you. They're necessary for you. Let me see what else I have marked down here to go over. Trey was on last week. So as we're talking about grief and going through the healing process, remember Trey last week, he was wondering how he could assist his fiance. There was a part that I took notes on today that I think I'm going to send to him if he's not on. I'm going to send the whole paragraph and conversation that I found earlier today. You have to be compassionate. You have to be a listener. We talked about that last week. My husband even talked to you guys about how when I do have those moments of being triggered, they're not often, but when I do, he's there to listen. Um, the number one thing that I found today that is that the love and concern you demonstrate during this critical period, being triggered, going through the issues and feeling a certain way. This is for a man or for a woman who's in a relationship with an individual who's been sexually assaulted. The love and concern you demonstrate during this critical period can aid in recovery and strengthen the bond between the two of you. Your relationship can actually emerge stronger for the experience, completely and totally. That's what men and women who are dealing with individuals who have been sexually abused have to understand. You have the ability to help heal them just by giving them a listening ear. Okay? Let me see what Nydia says here. Nydia said, I was thinking about that earlier. Some people don't want to talk about it because they are ashamed, but they must remember it's not their fault. Some people look at me crazy when I share my story of molestation, but why should I be ashamed and embarrassed? I didn't do it. Yeah. But Nydia, see, this is where you are on the healing journey, right? You're further along than they are. And so you sharing, like I shared last week, will cause other people to recognize that, well, maybe sharing isn't so bad. And maybe, just maybe, me talking about this is healing because I believe that it is. And one thing we all learned last week was most of us had no problem forgiving the assault or the person who assaulted us, the attacker, as some people called him or her. We had an issue with how our parents handled it. And even for me, it caused me to cry. And so we hadn't even forgiven our parents because we were so distraught and traumatized by what it is that they had done. Okay, this person says, what if you don't know for sure you were abused because you were young, but other members of the family were, and things have played out through life to the point, to the probability. Okay, see, this is last week. See what that person said, babe. Look at that translation. Thank you. We got some things going on, y'all, with some people and some prayer time, and I don't trust it. Okay. Kimberly, this is something that happened last week. Those who were on here last week knew that there was a prophetic unctioning where I was very aware that there was individuals who couldn't breathe, who had heart issues, and it was stuck here. And then there was someone. Okay.
Yeah, you can block him.
I can block him?
Yeah.
You've got to block him. She said, homie gotta go.
Yeah.
Let me see.
You're talking about body parts.
Delete. Okay, I'll ban him later. We'll just delete. You have authority on my you have administrative use, so you can just delete any comment he puts on there. Look, let me tell you guys, I have been praying like crazy. I've been in spiritual warfare. I'm gonna just keep it real. And so because of that, I recognized earlier that might be something. Um, I just don't have time. So see, that's what I'm saying. I want to see your boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just nobody has time for that. Nobody has time for the distractions. So I tell you, that's totally what I'm dealing with. Yeah. And then the other thing that I called out, Kimberly, where there were individuals who had migraines, and the migraines were paralyzing. And one person said, that's me all day. And then I recognized that it was another friend who had been telling me for the last couple of weeks she's been at a neurologist, she's been here and there because she had migraines, but I didn't remember it at the time. I'm bringing her up because, Kimberly, she has the same story as you do. She doesn't remember her abuse, but she's been told that they were sexually abused. And the more she does counseling, some stuff has come out, but she doesn't remember it at all. And so I would suggest to you that you're going to have to do another level of counseling. Yes, go back and listen to it. She said, that's totally what I'm dealing with. You have to go back and listen to it, but also there are different places of different types of counseling that you can get involved, like find the counselor who does these types of things. I'm not a person of hypnosis, but there's some other that really dig into the root of who you are and dig into the root so that you can remember and recall things that have happened to you before memory has set in. Like Becca told us how old Becca, did you say like 5 to 10 years old or 5 to 7 years old? You don't have memory of any of that? So even Kimberly, there's Becca on here doesn't have a memory concerning her life between a certain period. Like she doesn't remember anything. And for you, if this has happened to you and you're looking at your life and you're saying something's playing out a certain way, then you've got to go find a therapist who can assist you with that. That's the truth. I'm a coach. I am not a therapist. And as I jokingly say all the time, so I'm not going to pretend like I'm one on here. But I know enough information to coach you to the place of connecting the dots to your pain and then getting you to a position of therapy. I'm even going to post the link for Psychology Today into this comment, into the comments in both of these threads, because I want you to be able to find a therapist in your area. I know Becca has a therapist. I believe Nydia does as well, but you need to find someone in your area. I need to not Google, I need to email a friend, Kimberly, who has done the type of therapy work that you need done and get the exact name and maybe a referral for you. She talked about this at my I've Got Daddy Issues tour in California, and she's done the deep rooted digging up, because as a healing and deliverance minister, I can take you there spiritually in some ways, but there are individuals who can take it to a whole nother level. And I think it works well in tandem to have a coach and a therapist at the same time. Yeah, Becca just chimed in. She said she doesn't have a recollection of her life from the ages of 5 to 10. That's a thing. There's a gap there, and it's probably based on trauma. So I want you to, Kimberly, know that you're not alone. I have a close friend. I was texting her while I was trying to get on here tonight, and and Suave is on here too. Suave, my friend Suave. Suave is a psychotherapist. He actually worked with us at I've Got Daddy Issues in Charlotte. So he's another referral that maybe if he doesn't do this particular kind of work, he can send you in that direction. Yes. Okay. Hold on. Yes, it's a process that is spirit led that starts with a T or P. They use an inner healing. Okay. Yep. That's exactly it. But I can't remember the full name. I can't remember the name of it. And it's all about inner healing. It's completely about inner healing. They've got to walk you backwards into some things. I know people always use the term, oh, you don't have to go to the past. Yeah, you don't have to live there, but you definitely have to visit it from time to time. See, Smash Jet over here, she says, I have some great therapists. Okay, inbox them to me so that I can actually, because everybody on here lives in different places. They don't, Smash Jet lives in Atlanta, but she may have some therapists outside of Atlanta because she does work outside of Atlanta. And she said, I agree, you need both. You need both. Me, look, Kimberly, don't feel bad. I can't remember the name either. That's why I'm like, I got to email a friend of mine to get the name for you. But we all have to delve into this. But my purpose in having this conversation with you tonight is because I needed you to know that God didn't leave you alone in this moment. That was the main reason that I believe God wanted me to tell you what the Bible said about this thing. That He didn't leave you without recourse. He didn't leave you without a plan, because He knew that it could possibly happen to you. He knew that it was something that could take place in your life. And not that He couldn't protect you from it. In some ways He did. But in other ways, I don't, it's something that Stephen Furtick said today on a sermon that I was listening to. And he was like, people ask the question, why did God let this happen to me? Because things like this cause us to turn from God. And if we're turning from God because this has happened to us, then, well, where was God? Where was God? Right? And you have this moment. Yeah, he's in, I see Cherie's post. He's in Oklahoma City. I've talked to him before. So where was God in the situation? Well, God doesn't, He doesn't force anything, and He doesn't report everything. I can tell you that the situation that I had when I talked to you guys about being in Atlanta and being in the friend's condo who's in the music industry, I do feel like I was warned that night. I do. But I didn't have any other place to go. And I just heard the Holy Spirit say, cover completely up. And maybe that was the Holy Spirit's way of trying to protect me, right? It was hot in that room. There was no AC in the room that I was staying in because He was renovating the place. And my room didn't have AC. And it was in August. And I still covered completely up, because maybe that was God's way of trying to deter Him in the first place. Because if I had the covers off and I wasn't totally, I had a little something, little shorts on or whatever, maybe that would have triggered Him. I don't know. But maybe God was trying to use it as a moment to warn me, like, something's going to happen to you tonight. I don't know the answer to that. But sometimes we find ourselves upset with God when I'm working to show you tonight that God knew, and He also had a plan. When we're looking at vindication, once again, I'm going to say it again. God also says in His word, vengeance is mine. So you have to allow that to happen. And I always like when, what Medea say? Medea say, vengeance is God's, but sometimes that person need to be got right then. And that's a joke. Laugh.
Seriously, that's when I come in. That's when I get involved.
What you get involved with?
When it's time to handle some stuff.
When it's time to get got. That's true.
Father.
My husband is, yeah, he would, yeah, I don't even, child, we're not even gonna have that conversation. I'm joking, and I know we want that to happen much sooner, but it doesn't always happen as fast as we want it to happen. But Nydia said it last week. Trust me when we say God will get that person. And I've seen that stuff circle back around. And they do not have the life. They will have to come apologize. And if they don't apologize, their life isn't going as well as they make it look on social media. If you know who they are, if you're following them, if you're still in. Sometimes people have a way of popping back up. Like I told you, my mother put the person on the phone. And this person start following me on Dr. Torri J's page. Trust me, he's still following me. I blocked him. He tried to be my friend on my personal page and TFGF child. I blocked him on all of that. And I'm just like, I noticed the other day he commented on something. I was like, is he serious? Like he doesn't remember? Like, but their lives it's not going as well as they try to portray it's going, because vengeance belongs to God. Let me see. I want to make sure that I put in here, and I'll put it in here like I normally do after the fact. I want to this is not about blaming. This is not about anyone being at fault. But I think this is valuable information I'm going to provide. Okay? Possible ways to avoid rape. Y'all ready? Avoid males or females who show signs of aggression or resentment towards women. Can we get an amen on that? Because sometimes we recognize it and we're like, and we can work our way out of it, and you can't. The first one I told you about, he clearly had an aggression issue. He worked out all the time. He always lifting weights, and it was just a lot going on with him. Although I tutored him, I was like, there's a lot going on with him. But you got to avoid people that you look, don't, what did I told Vark this months ago. Look, you hear your dog? I told Vark this months ago, I am starting to make sure I listen. And I do it now. Something happened the other day and I did it. Listen to your first mind. The first thing that you hear, do that. Do that. Because we second guess ourselves all the time. And this is how we find ourselves in certain situations that are sketchy. Not your fault, but sketchy. You second guess yourself. And part of you second guessing yourself is definitely because you grew up fatherless. You grew up in a way that gave you low self-esteem. You had a toxic parent who didn't validate who you are. You have all of these issues, so you second guess yourself. But I need you to start practicing listening to your first mind. If you practice listening to your first mind, you'll start to become more you'll start to become more aware. And then you'll start to trust yourself more. You've got to listen to your instincts. Bishop T.D. Jakes wrote a book called Instincts. It is amazing. You've got to listen to it. And women have intuition. Some of us call that the Holy Spirit, right? Some of us call that, as Cherie put on here, listen to your gut. You got to listen. So if you suspect that somebody is aggressive and they have resentment towards women, or you as a man, walk away. They show signs of emotional, verbal, and physical abuse. Walk away. Unwarranted jealousy, alcohol, and drug use. Can we have a conversation? Mark and I are always like, everybody smoke weed? Everybody? Like, everybody? But you got to be in a position where you are wise and you move a certain way, because the drugs out here now, I'm about to date myself, but weed ain't what weed was when our parents were smoking it. Just saying. It's dipped and it's dyed and fried and laid to the side these days and got a little sprinkle of this and a little sprinkle of that and sat into a light. And I get that it's legal in some places, but that stuff is not the same. And so you have to be careful who you sit around and do that stuff with. If you want to smoke and that's part of your getting rid of your anxiety, look. That's more power to you. That's not a judgment place. But that's a place of, do that at home in the safety of your home if you're going to do it. If it's about, like, everybody got a marijuana card. I know when I moved to LA in 2009, they were like, girl, you got anxiety, go get your marijuana card.
Get your munchies before you start.
Get your munchies before, I can't. Yeah. And drink. Yeah, this says alcohol and drug use. Like some people are alcoholics and they're social drinkers and they think, oh, I'm just drinking socially. And it's just, you don't know what someone is trying to put in your drink. And you don't know, you do not know. Since I went there, my molester actually told my mother someone put something in his drink that night. That's a thing. I am not making that up. That's why he said he didn't recognize it was me, because someone put something in his drink that night. Do I know if that's true or not? I don't. But don't lay your drinks around. Mark said, nah.
How'd you get back to the house?
I'm not going to debate that on here. We don't have enough time. We just don't. So y'all know we laxed. We're just on here to help you. Nydia said, oh, wow. It's no longer natural. It's not. And it ain't the weed smokers I side eye. It's the folks popping these pills and doing crack. Like, why you looking like that? Yeah, Cherie, I showed Vark a video of a young lady. We should probably post that video. I think I should. It's on Instagram. I can download. I'll find a way to download. Yeah, I can download it. It's a young lady who, she talked about living with her father, but her father put her out and she ended up living on the streets and all this other stuff. And it's a 4-month account. And she went from living on the streets, being put out of her father's house, and then living on the streets. She started itching. And it was a 4-month process. And she looked like Vark didn't even know it was the same person. He didn't even know it was the same person. And I think in many ways you get caught up in so much stuff being out here. And Cherie said it, numbing and suppressing all the pain because you won't deal with the trauma, or you feel abandoned by God. You feel abandoned by the circumstances and the situation. And that's why I'm going to say it again. God didn't abandon you. He did not abandon you. He's telling you vengeance belongs to him. And that's what the Bible says. So trust that. The prostitute on YouTube? Maybe. Is she a prostitute?
Oh, she was a prostitute. She was selling something.
I can't with how he's talking. Like, I just can't. Y'all pray for me. Smash that, pray for me. This one over here, he brings comedy, but I just don't know how good it is. I don't know if it's appropriate. I've watched it. It's a sad story. Sounds like that. She said, I've watched it. It's a sad story. Doesn't look like the same person at all. Could that, and I even asked Vark this question, Smash It. I asked him, maybe she's in sex trafficking. I did. Remember I asked you, I was like, what if that's sex trafficking?
I think that was a supporting by habit technique.
Yeah, but people who are in sex trafficking are also supporting their habit. And that's how they get by and they get through. And the men actually inject them once they walk into that room. Wow. That's a real thing. That documentary, Lord Jesus. There's a movie on Prime called Trafficked. Lord Jesus. That thing I had nightmares for 3 days afterwards. My computer is done. Yeah, I need the cord. No, you're fine. She said, my bad. That's how I remember it. You can't heal from that which you don't deal with. Yeah, you can never heal from that. And that's why I'm on here. Because I want to talk about this, and I know it's challenging, and I know me sharing my story last week was what you guys needed to hear. But I recognize today that what you also needed to hear was God has your back. God's got your back. So part of you letting go is understanding who, once you let go, whose arms you really get to fall into. That he's got your back. But you got to acknowledge that you're hurt. You got to acknowledge that there's some trauma here. You got to acknowledge that I'm still carrying this. And Kimberly was like, I don't know if it really happened, but I got some things going on with me that suggested it did because I was so young. So I want to also, I'm going to go back to this. You have to, avoid males who show signs of uncontrolled anger or desire to control a female. Can't be with somebody who's got this uncontrolled anger and this jealousy streak and the desire to control you. Now, some of us are viewing control in the wrong way. A controlling man you can recognize. Be aware. Don't get caught up because he wants to be a gentleman per se, or he wants to know where you're going and stuff like that. Somebody who keeping tabs and tracking your phone and There's a way that people control you. Smash Jet can tell you level of control that many of us don't recognize. Yes, he is funny. See, she said you're funny. You add the comedic side. We're kind of like a Rufus, my friend's the Muslim couple. He's got a dry sense of humor and it's gonna hurt. Oh, we're getting cut off on Instagram. Bye.
Go to Facebook.
Yeah, you got to come over to Facebook. I'm sorry, Instagram only allows you exactly an hour.
Props to the Facebook family.
Let me read these really quickly. That means we're in an hour. With a recent male acquaintance, insist on going to public places. Come on, y'all. Public places. Can we say that? Or situations where you know other people. It's called group dating. I don't know you that well. I got 4 friends who got 4 dudes, and we all gonna go bowling. That's where we going. Stop doing Netflix and chill. Somebody you don't know. That's crazy. It's like me. Yes, I tutored him and I felt I knew him, but I'm the one who's lingering behind when everybody else left. That's not okay. I should have known better. You don't linger behind. I knew him from a tutoring perspective. I didn't know him from relationship. Cherie says you have to uproot it from the roots. Let me see. What does it say? And stare it in the face. Yeah. Well, that's the part of the acknowledgement. And males and females, all of them. Oh, no one is safe. Yeah, that's why this gets into the male and female part here in a moment. But I want to cover a couple of these. They said avoid isolated places, including apartments. Set sexual limits early on and communicate those limits. Tell it. Don't get caught up in trying to be with somebody and you don't want to say anything and you want to, oh, well, I don't want to tell them I don't want to have sex, or I don't want to tell them I'm waiting for marriage. I don't want to tell them because they may leave. Child, let them people leave. That's why you tell people up front where you are, because why are you hanging on to somebody who don't want to be there? Why are you hanging on to somebody who doesn't have the same values as you do? Why? And then you put yourself in a very challenging situation. Be assertive and direct when those limits are reached. Tell him or her that while you like them, you don't like what they're doing. Stay sober and in control. That's the thing you got to do. You don't know this person, you're going to go smoke weed with them? You going to go pop some pills with them? Because kids are popping pills. This is not, opioid crisis isn't just old people or certain groups of cultures. This is happening. I have a friend this is happening to her daughter, and her daughter is posting this stuff on social media. And she's hurt because she wants to tell her to stop it, but 20-some years old. What do you do? What do you say? But she's putting herself in a situation that we're praying that she's not harmed, she's not killed. And if jail is what God sees fit to do, then that's what it is. That's the real thing that's happening to a friend of mine concerning her daughter. And we've had to deal with that and have that conversation.
To piggyback off of what you just said, buy their own drinks.
Buy your own drinks. Yeah, I know it's nice when a dude buy you a drink, right? But that's cool. But buy your own drinks.
Bill Cosby.
Becca says, when you say, I should have known better, you're shaming yourself. Yeah, because there's no way to know better. You don't know the person well enough. Right, Becca? How do you know better when you don't know the person well enough? You have to deal with the signs. And don't be hyper, sensitive about the equation. We want you to date. We want you to fall in love. We want you to be in a good situation. But don't be ignorant to it either. Don't be naive. All right, Aaron. He said, keep up the amazing work, healing work. All right, Aaron, I will talk to you tomorrow, my love. She said, but they're expensive, and that's why I don't go out anymore. Nydia, I can't.
Get drunk before you leave the house, Nydia.
Oh my God, no, you guys are not. See, this is why he said we're gonna put him on camera with his hair messed up and all.
And do shots. Don't be messing around. Get straight to the point.
But they're expensive. That's hilarious. They are expensive. I don't even know anymore. I haven't been out in a long time, and I don't drink like that. Becca says exactly. Shaming is super damaging. But we also have to go through that process of feeling shame in our grieving process. We have to journey through it. We have to walk through it. Those of you who are, what else would you say, babe, as we're on here, and I'm going to wrap this up. But I think I could have done this in a 15-minute. But I know sometimes we need to talk this stuff out. But I'm going to say it again.
Be aware of your surroundings.
Be aware of your surroundings. That's what Vark said.
All the ladies know how to spot the creepy dude because you say he's creepy.
Mm-hmm. We do. We say he's creepy. But the dude that does this, he's typically not creepy. Or the girl who does this, the female who does this, she's not creepy.
So my question to
I know men who have been molested by women.
So my question, and to the ladies on the call, is: do you get a feeling just before, or is it a nah? Somebody like you got the God told you to put some clothes on.
Mm-hmm.
You should have put some clothes on and walked down the street for 4 or 5 hours. I don't know. Do you get that feeling that
no,
something's not right? I need to.
I ain't walking down the street on Edgewood. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's not gonna happen.
Gotcha.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was gentrification and all that going on back then. But
you know what I'm trying to say. Stop trying
I'm not walking down on Edgewood 4 5 hours. It's not happening. Do we get that feeling? If we're aware, yeah. If we're emotionally intelligent, sure. But sometimes, like we said earlier, we ignore the feeling. We ignore the feeling, and
that you know,
and especially if it's someone that you know, you give them the benefit of the doubt, and you dismiss what you're feeling. Can we have that conversation? I'm just sorry that just popped up. Why do we give the attacker the benefit of the doubt and disregard what we're feeling? That's a message. Where do we learn that? Lydia said we need to teach our young men no actually means no. Yeah. And we need to teach our young women how to say no and not be like, we got to teach you how to say no. Because when you do all of that other stuff, he doesn't know that no really means no. And then unfortunately, you have men who buy you a drink and think that that meant yes, and you owe him. That's why you don't let dudes buy you drinks. Go get a drink and post up and call it a day. You ain't got no money, call it a day. Or stay home. Or just don't drink. Go dance. You don't have to be drunk to go out. The message that I got is stay sober. A lot of stuff you can do in your own privacy of your own home. I know that sounds boring as heck. But my question is, would you rather be safe or would you rather be sorry? I'm freezing up. Okay. Would you rather be sorry later? I think you'd rather be safe. I think you'd rather be safe.
A little caution prevents a lot of regret.
A little caution prevents a lot of regret. So you guys, I hope this helped you in some way. Because I think at the end of the day, I summed this up in 15 minutes. As far as what I really wanted to say, but I think we pulled on some of the stuff you guys had. But I'm telling you, even if I get Dr. Diane to send me messages or her notes on some of the comments you guys said, I'm going to do that in the next few days. I'm going to ask her if she can do that. But just like I said, keep Dr. Diane Campbell in prayer. She will be on, but keep her in prayer. There's some health issues going on with her mother where it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. All right, guys. This thing is heavy to me. I'm going to pray us out tonight. Can I do that? Because I don't want to leave you hanging. I see Nydia's thing now. She heard what you said. I can't see it on Be Live. She got shots. Make me laugh. See, that's what y'all do. Y'all make me laugh. See, laughter makes this all go down, Cherie. Because we get into some deep topics on here. And it makes it all go down. Tonight, I wasn't fully prepared, but I think I was prepared because God just simply wanted to tell you. He's got a clause for this and he's got your back. Point blank, period. And vindication is a part of your healing. And what he needs you to know is vindication belongs to him. So know that your healing is coming as you acknowledge this journey, as you acknowledge the thing that's happened to you, and you deal with it. And as you deal with it, God will vindicate you and you will watch your healing come forth. as scriptures talk about, as the sun rises and as the noonday comes. That's what you're going to see for yourself. So I am grateful to be able to come to you tonight and it be Healing Tuesday, and we have this very intense conversation. But I'm going to pray us out tonight before I get off of here because it's kind of heavy. So, Heavenly Father, I thank you right now. I thank you for your love, your mercy, your grace. But most importantly, I thank you for your provisions. For there are places that we have in our lives that we don't think you see, that we don't think you care about, that we don't believe that you're even in the midst of it with us. But I know that your word also tells us in Hebrew that Jesus was tempted in all points and he was tested, and he knows exactly how we feel in every single situation in our lives. You've put things in place to give us an out. You've put things in place to deliver us out of trouble. You've put things in place to heal us from traumas, strongholds, and heartbreaks, captivities, things that have broken us and challenged us emotionally and spiritually. And I thank you for that. I thank you for that tonight. I pray right now that you would begin to reveal the fragmented parts of our souls that have been impacted by trauma, and that you would begin to reveal the levels of trauma, that you would open up our hearts and our minds to receive from you, even when we've been mad at you, wondering how this could happen. God, it's not your fault. It's not our fault. We recognize that what the enemy meant to break us, to destroy us, you are right now utilizing it for our good. It's my prayer tonight that you would heal hearts and minds, that you would also, for Kimberly and even my friend Maya, that you would bring to their remembrance so that they can heal, that you would heal them from health disparities and health challenges in the midst of bringing understanding and illuminating the truth of what's happened to them, that you would help, you would just heal them. You would heal them from the inside out, and that you would break every generational curse that has come upon their lives because of this situation. And for everyone who's been sexually assaulted, molested, and raped, as I call it, that we right now come against every spiritual, demonic spirit. I'm going to say it this way: every demonic spirit that was deposited in their womb from this situation. And we bind up their activity and we render them unemployed and we loose them from their assignment right now, placing them back into the pits of hell. I thank you for this and I praise you for it. Right now, in Jesus' holy name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys. So I'm going to keep you in the loop for next week, and we'll go from there. But I love you, and I'll see you next week. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.